Hey guys, welcome back. Hope you're having a good day out there. Before we get into this video, I want to say thank you real quick to a brand new channel member with a Tier 2 membership, Jay Hotlaps, our newest member of the club. Jay, thank you so much for your support. Glad you enjoy the videos. And now, let's get into the season in review for Kasey Kane. All right, guys, welcome back to the channel here. We're going to be talking today about Kasey Kane and his 2024 season with High Limit Racing, looking at it, a season in review, talking about all his numbers and where they ranked up against the rest of the drivers that he raced against throughout the entire High Limit Racing season. This is a 3-board video, so if you're wondering, well, where's all the information at? There's more video, or there's more boards down here next to me that we'll be bringing up here and talking about more information with Kasey Kane. And I want to say hi to the guy in the comment section that said I was too afraid to make a video about Kasey Kane's season in review. I wish I remembered his name off the top of my head, but hey, buddy, I'm right here doing it now. So I don't know what I was afraid of. But yeah, Kasey Kane, this year, 45 starts to his credit. He did have one top 5 finish on the year. That is a 1.96% of the time he was in the top 5, and 9 top 10s for 17.65% of the time he was in the top 10 this year. He did not have any laps led on the season this year with High Limit Racing. And I would like to also mention that Kasey Kane this year, it was a battle to get him to the end of the season. Not only was this the first time that Kasey Kane had ran an entire national tour in his career, he's tried it a couple of times with the Outlaws in the past, but either would get hurt or something else would happen and he wouldn't be able to make it to the entire year. That almost happened with Kubota High Limit Racing this year for Kasey Kane. Lost a crew chief, lost crew guys, had to go through a couple of crew chiefs just to make it to the end of the year. But you have to admire the determination for him this year to finish out the entire season, and he did make it all the way. Since he made it all the way, he did end up 14th in the overall championship point standings out of 16 drivers. He was also 12th in the midweek money series point standings, so a little bit better on those midweek money races for Kasey Kane. The money earned for him this year, when it comes to the race earnings alone with High Limit Racing, $71,674 in race earnings, and then he was $20,000 richer after the points fund payout at the banquet on Sunday after the final race at Texas Motor Speedway. He was 65 points ahead of Chris Windom in 15th place in points, and he was 115 points behind Jacob Allen for 13th in the overall point standings this year with High Limit. And so that does mean that Jacob Allen will be the next season in review that we do here on the channel. Kasey Kane this year used up 4 out of his 6 allotted provisionals on the year. As we mentioned every time, because I'm sure there's more viewers, 6 provisionals? What's going on here? You get 3 in the regular season, you get 1 for the midweek money series, and then if you need them, there are 2 at the final 2 races at Texas. Kasey Kane needed 4 provisionals out of 6 this year with High Limit. He did have 5 DNFs on the year, so not a very good number there for Kasey Kane on the DNF category. So hopefully next year they can kind of clean that up a little bit. Speaking of next year, we'll talk about his future plans in just a moment on the next board. Now, his best finish did come late in the season here for Kasey Kane. He did get that one and only top 5 at the 3rd to last race of the season at Lucas Oil Raceway in Wheatland, Missouri. It was a 5th place result that night for Kasey Kane. This year on SprintCarRatings.com, they have him ranked as the 64th best driver in 2024 when it comes to full-time Wing 410 sprint car action. So 64th for Kasey Kane according to that website, which uses a formula to determine all of the rankings. They've got a whole bunch of different things that go into that formula to determine their ranking system. My prediction, so at the beginning of the season, before any races even happened, I did a prediction for each driver, how I thought they would run in points, how many top 5s, how many top 10s, how many wins. This is what I had for Kasey Kane, and unfortunately, I was way off the mark on this one. I had him for 10th to 12th in points. He ran 14th. I had him for 6 to 10 top 5s. He had 1, and then I had him for 15 to 20 top 10s, and he had 9. So next year when I do the season previews, I'm definitely going to maybe notch it down a little bit for a couple of these drivers when it comes to the top 10s and the top 5s, because I was not even close on Kane. I was not even close on Brenham Crouch. I was close on Windham, but Kane, I was definitely a little bit off the mark there. Now, this part, as I've mentioned in every video so far, is very subjective. I have his best stretch of the year, right? His best stretch of races, in my opinion, as well as his worst stretch of races. His best stretch to me was between races 7 through 16. So at the very beginning of the year, during that span, he did get 4 top 10 finishes, which is pretty impressive considering he had 9 the entire year. So about half of those came in that one little stretch there between 7 through 16. And then his worst stretch of races, in my opinion, was right at the end, races 40 to 49. He did get that top 5 finish in there, but he did miss the show on 3 occasions. And then on top of that, he did have 3 DNFs as well in that span of races. So in about, 9 or 10 races, 1 top 5, he missed the show 3 times and also had 3 DNFs in the main event. So Kasey Kahne, the numbers are all over the place, that is for sure. But they do get a little bit better here when we switch boards. He's got a couple of, when you rank him up against the rest of the drivers with the series, there are a couple of things on here that Kasey Kahne was better than a couple of guys out there. So we'll start things off at the top of the board because that's how things work around here. We start at the top of the board, then we work our way down. The average finish, 15.7 for Kasey Kahne, which is actually 15th overall with the series this year. Average start for him was 14.9. That is 12th out of all of the competitors this year with high limit. His average qualifying, not bad, 11th overall with the series at 10.1, so he was a good qualifier all year. Dash appearances for him, 10th, and I did not design this like this already. 15th, 12th, 11th, and 10th. So 6 dash appearances, so not exactly in the top half of the field, but right there in the middle. Dash wins, he was not able to get any of those. He was a 5-way tie for 12th with 0 dash wins. He did have 1 hard charger award. That was a 3-way tie for 12th. Quick times, he was able to get 1 of those. He was tied for 12th with that with 1 other driver, so 1 quick time for Kasey Kahne as well. He was in the B main a lot this year. 20 B main event appearances this year for Kasey Kahne, which is the 3rd worst behind Chris Windom and Brenham Crouch. So 14th overall. He had the 14th, I guess it would be the 3rd most B main appearances for Kasey Kahne with 20. And then I got a couple of things here at the bottom that are like kind of just fun stats, like the average redraw wheel spin. For Kasey Kahne, he was 3rd. He actually had the 3rd lowest average redraw number on that spin wheel, which was number 12. So I forgot to put that in Chris Windom's video, but he was actually 1st on the board with 9 for Windom. So 12 there for Kasey Kahne. At least he was kind of starting, up front in the dashes whenever he was in them. He did have 3 heat race wins on the year. That was tied for 11th with 1 other driver. He never actually started in the top 5, a single race this entire year. So do not have a stat for top 5 efficiency, but top 10 efficiency. He did have 11 top 10 starts, which resulted in just 4 top 10 finishes. That is a 36% clip there for Kasey Kahne when it comes to starting in the top 10 and finishing there. That is 15th overall with the series this year. Plus minus, not very good. A minus 27 for Kasey Kahne this year. That is the worst with the series, meaning he lost more positions and features than he was gaining. And then races where he did have a positive plus minus, meaning that there were a couple of races, obviously, where he started back and then he went forward and finished ahead of his starting position. 24 times he went forward in the main event, and that is tied for 14th overall with 1 other driver in the series. So the first half of the season was better on the average finish department for him. A 14.6 average finish from the first half of the year to the second half of the year was a 15.8. So he did go down a position after the halfway point. So the first 24 races, then the second 25 races, his average finish got just a tick lower by about 1.2 positions. And then another fun stat down here. This one actually delivered to me by Brian Walker, the social media guy for High Limit Racing. The average pill draw for Kasey Kahne was a 28, which is actually tied for 2nd best in the series with 3 other drivers. So Kasey Kahne pretty lucky when it comes to the redraw wheel, and he was pretty lucky as well when it comes to the pill draw table with High Limit Racing this year. Now, you see at the very bottom here, the future plans. I'm going to try and do this for every season in review. The future plans for Kasey Kahne, we did find out here as of recently that next year he will be on a part-time basis, will not be returning full-time with High Limit as of right now, and he will be having a new crew chief, and that will be Eric Prutzman, who is formerly the crew chief for Brad Sweet for the last 7 years. So Brad Sweet's crew chief, Eric Prutzman, is now going to go to Kasey Kahne's number 9 car and run a part-time schedule with Kasey, which I am excited to see how that will turn out for both driver and crew chief, because maybe that's something that Kasey's kind of been lacking a little bit here. You get an all-star crew chief like Eric Prutzman that's won everything over the last 7 years. That could certainly fix a lot of these numbers on the board right now for Kasey Kahne in 2025, although he won't be full-time with the series, but I would, be willing to bet we'll see him quite a bit next year. Now, the final board as part of this video, and this is the community tab portion where we put up a poll on the community tab and we had everybody vote how they would score a grade for Kasey Kahne. I'm calling it the community tab report card. Back in the day, everybody got a report card when they were in grade school and you tried to hide it, or if you were smart, you would try and put it on Photoshop and change the things around. Not saying I did it, but I did see a couple of my, little buddies that used to do that. They got in trouble doing that. But yeah, here is the community tab report card. I forgot to write it on. There was 438 votes. I forgot to write that on there, but 438 votes on the community tab for Kasey Kahne. A 2% of the vote gave him an A on the season. 14% gave him a B. 54% gave him a C. 27% gave him a D. And then 3% just hate Kasey Kahne, and they gave him an F on the season. I am going to go, I think, a C+ for Kasey Kahne because, number one, he did make it to the end of the season for the first time in his career with a full-time national touring series, and he did it with a lot of obstacles in the way with crew guys and crew chiefs and all the stuff that goes along with that. So I got to give the benefit of the doubt to Kasey Kahne. I'm going to give him a C+ on the season. I wish he had a couple more top 5s. And a couple more top 10s, and I'm sure he does as well, obviously. But next year, I think, could be a really, really different version of Kasey Kahne than we've seen in the past. He won't have to be worried about, making it to each and every race as a full-time member. He'll have a part-time schedule with a brand new crew chief, one that is super experienced, and I am excited to see how they do next year. But here is the report card that you guys, the community, gave to Kasey Kahne, and I'm asking you to please go vote over there. Hit the community tab. We just put up one for Tanner Thorson yesterday. Please go on there and vote and make sure you cast your vote to let us know what you thought of each driver's season this year with High Limit Racing. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Maybe you learned something new. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, comment down below your thoughts, and we'll talk to you again here very soon. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Now I want to say thank you to my channel members as well. Whenever we get a new one, we like to say thank you to all of them, but we've got so many now that it's going to take me a minute or so to thank all of them. And I don't want to put those at the beginning of the video because I feel like people that first click on it for the very first time might get turned off from that. So I'm going to try and save these for the end from now on, just because we have so many. The support has been unbelievable. And I just want to say thank you real quick to all these guys that are putting their hard-earned money and helping make this channel better. Blake Dowell and Racing Vagabond been around for 6 months at least. Easy Does It, Skyke, and Bill Gillis been around for 2 months at least. We also got our new members down here, Nate Trewin, Ryan Showalter, Kurt Brooks, and Bill Cinnamon. And then we have our 1 month guys over here as well. Scaloner, Brent Baer, Christopher Thacker, Jay Strasser, Ed Minus, Ryan Farnsley, John O'Neill, Daryl Snipey, 47A, Matt Parsons, and Caleb Johnson. Thank you guys so much. Hopefully you don't mind me putting these at the end. Kind of makes more sense for the video to flow a little bit better. So thank you guys once again for all your support, and we will talk to you again here very soon.